What you got going on over there? Random rambling, it's a lot over here, so just keep up. Welcome to my life, be like real life, told by QV. What it look like this week, we got an hour for you to save the world, let's go. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hey, how y'all doing? Y'all all right? I'm all right. I guess I'm all right. I'm here. It's Saturday and it's podcast day, child. I feel like I ain't stopped talking. I'm all right. So I'm okay, y'all. I'm I'm all right. Whew. Well, let's get right into it. You here? You have made it to my life be like real life told by QV. And I'm your host, QV. At least I think I'm QV. I might be an imposter. So let's get right into it while you're here, the podcast. My life be like this week, tumultuous. Still hasn't changed. School starts on Monday. I think I have enough financial aid to start school, but I don't think I have enough to finish. I don't know. But at least they'll let me start school and I can just figure it out along the way. I am now sitting at, I don't know, 52, 53 job rejections. I can't find a part time job that'll fit my schedule and let me work overnight, whatever. And I'm just severely over it. Done, fried, crispy. I don't know how I'm going to make it this month. I don't have another loan that I can take out. I don't have another credit card that I can use. Legitimately, I don't even know how much debt I'm in right now because I can't. I can't do it. I can't. I don't know what else to do. I don't have the money. I don't have it. I don't know what to put it out, and everybody's like, "Well, maybe you should just go ahead and quit your day job because it's not paying." It's not that simple. Had I was, if I wasn't trying to teach what would get me to the salary that I need, then I would go ahead and quit. But the thing about quitting the school system is they have so much leverage and power over you. They either blackball you or they make you ineligible for rehire. So the fact that I actually need the job, yeah, it's why I'm staying. Otherwise, I would have quit already. They're not paying me enough to stay. I would quit already. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm swimming in debt in my eyeballs. I don't know how I'm going to make my mortgage payment. I made half of my car payment last month to have food for the month and to have diapers and gas and everything else that I need for the month or whatever this month. That means I had to make my whole car payment this month. Mind you, I just started making this car payment that I just got, and no, it's not much different from the car payment that I had. It's only a couple of dollars difference or whatever. So it's not like it's costing me all this extra money because I went and got a 2025. No, it's that's the whole point of trading in cars for the same car and updating it. I've already made a video about this already. Like you can update your car, just get a car, the same car, a new year, have equity in it. They'll pay it off. You shouldn't have that much of a difference of a payment. So I know people say crazy stuff, but no, my payment isn't $400 or $500 difference. It's not even $100 difference. Life is just crazy. Everything that I buy is 20, 30 times more. I talked to a friend the other day that works in the catering and food industry like I do, and she was like, she just wanted to know, she's like, how slow are you right now? I said, well, I'm not really doing any food. I said, but I hadn't even really had as many as inquiries as I usually have this time of year, like baby showers, football. I was like, I'm not really putting myself out there, but it's been times I had done that, not getting increased like that. She's like, yeah, me either. I was like, yeah, because who can afford the food? I was like, and then when we do give out an inquiry and give a price, I mean, do get an inquiry and give out a price, likely, what's the chance of us booking it now? It was slim last year, now it's none. So, yeah, I'm over it. I'm legitimately over it. I just don't know what to do. I'm sitting here now. Today is the 4th. I have 11 days until my mortgage needs to be paid. And I need to know how to come up with $540 before the 15th of this month. That's all I need. It's not like my mortgage is thousands and thousands of dollars either. That's what I try to tell people. My mortgage is cheaper than anything. I can't. Somebody's like, well, have you considered selling your house and go renting something? Why would I do that? Rent is $2,000. My mortgage is $540. Even when I know it's gonna go up to astronomical leaps and bounds next year when I'm now being taxed out of my house to death because my evaluation now is $30,000 more than what it was, and I haven't seen my tax bill yet, hadn't got it, but I know they're out there and I know they're outrageous because I've seen people crying about their tax bill this year. And where I live at, I know I'm gonna be taxed out of my house. Like the base payment of my mortgage, the principal, like the base of my mortgage, is 316 whole crispy bucks. With taxes and insurance, it's almost $600 when they reevaluate it for February again, because it's when the mortgage price here changes. I'm sure it's gonna be almost $700. I can't come up with these $500. So for the people that keep telling me, well, you could just sell your house and go find something to rent, I can't afford $540. How am I gonna be able to afford five $2,000, $3,000? Yeah, that's what I be trying to tell people. Don't if it was that simple, I'd have done it already. I'm like, yeah, I can't afford this mortgage. I can go rent me an apartment for half of the price. No, you can't rent an apartment anywhere as cheap as my mortgage is. Okay? And my mortgage isn't eligible for refinance. And my mortgage is almost paid off. I only owe, I think, 17 grand, I think, on my mortgage. 17, 18 grand on my mortgage. Yeah, anybody out there want to give me these 17, 18 grand, I'll take them. I will take them. I will even give you the link to go pay my mortgage. I have a link to pay my mortgage. It's already dialed in. It has my name at the bottom of it. I will give you the link to go pay my mortgage if that's what you want to do. You don't have to give me the money. I have the link. I will give it out. Pay it. Let screenshot it. Let me know you paid it so I won't be so worried. But legitimately, or put my email address in and let me know that the confirmation that you paid it. You don't have to give me the money. Nobody has to give me the money. I don't care. I will give you the link. It doesn't have any sensitive, it doesn't collect any sensitive information at all for me. So it ain't like you got to type in a account number, a passcode, or none of that. You ain't got to do none of that. You can simply pay it and go on about your life. Yeah. So yeah, I'm wishful thinking and a lot of prayer and a lot of prayer. Anybody want to pay this? My mortgage is legitimately. Hold on, let me open up the thing. Um, my mortgage is hold on. Where did it go? If my phone would quit going off. Depending on what method you want to use, it's $542.64, and then they charge you a card processing fee and you can pay by PayPal, credit card, or by e-check. E-check is the cheapest. E-check is like $3.60. But yeah, yeah, that's where I'm at this week. I just need a job. Like, I don't even need a whole full time. I just need a couple of hours a day to just get through. And like this month, I had extra. I had some subscriptions that renewed. The $100 trash bill in the city of Noonan had to be paid. Everything. So like, I'm even further behind this month than I typically am trying to figure out and scrape. And I've literally maxed out every credit card that I have, and I've taken out every loan that I can to make ends meet, and it's just not happening. I'm tired. I am simply tired. I guess I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm gonna get off of that because I don't want to get upset, more upset than what I already am. And I actually got a very nice podcast planned out today. Okay. So on with today's in topics and all of the things that make this podcast a podcast. So I had a friend of mine who hit me up yesterday, late in the middle of the night between Friday. Sorry, I'm yawning. You knew it. Between Friday and Saturday, Thursday and Friday. And she was like, "Hey girl, I've been binge listening to the pod because I ain't listened to it because I've been off of social media and stuff for a while. So, and I ain't talked to you and stuff like that." She says, "I've been binge listening to the pod," and she was like, "I ain't heard you like have no educational content at all." She's like, "Yeah, you got to do a pod." She's like, "I listen to your perspectives on different stuff on TikTok when I am online or whatever. Tell me why. Why you ain't done on TikTok about public education?" She was like, "I feel like you almost an expert, somewhat guru." And she's like, "That, and you bring multiple perspectives into a lot of these bad and horrible conversations, especially what's going on." She's like, "I stepped off of social media or whatever at the beginning of school because it just became too much. Right before school started because it became too much." She was like, "Parents just getting on social media arguing about anything or being against teachers just done a lot to me. It just done too much." She was like, "I feel like we go through enough to not be berated by parents on the internet." And I was like, "You're right. Circle gets the square, baby. Circle gets the square." So me and my brains, of course, I went and texted all of my food mates, schoolmates, workmates, crazy people that I trust now. Some of y'all I don't trust, and I ain't even finna flex like I trust you like that. Just because I see you don't mean I trust you. Like that. If I thought that you and some people I realized I forgot as I said this, so don't take it hard if I didn't text you and ask you this. I asked them what could I talk about on this podcast, and I got a lot of everything. I got a lot of, "Girl, we can't talk about this because we'll be fired on Monday." I got a lot of, "Ooh, girl, make sure you talk about this," and I got a lot of, "Make sure you talk about that." So we finna talk about it. Because if you don't know, I work in public education every day, which is why I'm broke. Why I don't have all the fountain of money flowing out my backside. It's because I work in public education, which is a travesty to be broke and working in public education, especially in this climate. So let's talk about it. I'm gonna preface preface this by saying the opinions reflected on this podcast are all of mine and not anybody else's opinions, not my a place of employment, place of worship, and anything else. So please don't go attacking these people or anything else. The problem with being a public educator is that y'all forget that we're humans too. We have an opinion, we have a mind, and we have a life outside of the classroom. And guess what this podcast is? My life outside the classroom. It's my life outside of the classroom. So that's that. Take and do whatever you want to do with that information. But we finna talk about some things. Um, the big thing before I even get into that, and I forgot about this. I want to tell y'all this. Because the last couple of weeks have been crazy. It takes $0.0 to be kind to people. And I really think some of y'all need to get off the internet and go touch grass. And that's what I was talking about on my subscribers only episode this week. It's like some of y'all have just gotten balls that you shouldn't have. And you need to go touch grass. Go touch grass. Y'all are doing too much, y'all are saying too much, and you think that you can just come and attack people. And it makes me sad because more and more people are letting the internet get to them, and they beginning to unalive themselves or think less of themselves, feel unworthy and feel crazy, or they don't think that you taking shots at their confidence, or they're making people feel like the only way to go is these people and this people and that. And you see that person on TikTok and that person doing that, and this picture, like, go touch grass. It's okay. I really hate when people shove in education, and I guess that'll bridge me right into our conversation. Make teachers feel like they have to be another somebody on TikTok or Pinterest or YouTube or anything else. Because I'm going to tell you, it ain't all roses. It's not all roses. I respect a whole lot of content creators, but I know how I get attacked and things get said about me. I can only imagine in the audience that they have, the things that get said about them. But what I don't want it to do is let these complete bowl of strangers take you out. Like, it ain't worth it. They not worth it. It's not worth it. I want you to be whoever, and this applies to teachers or everybody else. I need you to show up as your authentic self, and I talked about that on my exclusive, like, or my pod. I don't remember which one it is. Like, I literally want y'all to just start showing up as your authentic self. Like, stop trying to beat around the merry-go bush, the monkey chase the weasel. Like, just show up as you. Show up as you, and we'll be okay. It'll be okay. It'll all work out, I promise. We don't have to show up in all these different cloaks and coats and stuff and Captain Super Saver nobody. I'm not gonna go like I get how people look at other content creators to draw inspiration, but please don't let anybody make you feel like that's the way and that's the standard. Everything that's cute ain't cute. And I'm just gonna say it like that. Everything that's cute ain't cute. Everything that's feasible on the internet and for that population of students is not for your population of students. You have to serve your students the best way you know how to serve them. And I just wish some people would be a lot more kind to others when they say stuff like, I like the way this person on TikTok does it. I like the way this person on Pinterest does it. I like the way this person does it. Like, go on somewhere. Because I'm going to be who I'm going to be, QV, okay? All right. All right. Back to the state of education. So, we all know there's a public education right now. not the best place in the world. It's not the worst place in the world. Um it's not entirely what people make public education out to be. And one thing that I've learned about public education in all aspects as a former student of public education who can vividly remember their educational experience from K to 12. And I still am in contact and work alongside some of my teachers that taught me back in the day, as I want to say. As now a public educator and as a parent of public education of a child that benefits the most from a public education, I want y'all to understand one thing about public education. It's not what people say it is that don't work in public education. Listening to somebody who does not work in a classroom, let me be specific about this. People who do not work in classrooms right now don't know nothing. I'm going to put it to you like that. There's a disconnect even from local admin, like your school level admin, to your classroom teachers. And I'm not talking about spending 45 minutes to an hour in a classroom and think you know it all. Legitimately, I would not take advice. I would not take in words. I would not take a message or anything from anybody that ain't sitting in a classroom all day. That's not supporting a classroom all day. Because the perspective is different when you're in and out of a classroom and when you're actually being made to sit there 6, 7, 8, 9 hours. It's easy for you to come in and tell me what you like, what you don't like, and you only been there an hour, 2 hours. It's easy. But when you sitting in there for 6, 7, 8, however many hours school is, it'll change your perspective. And I also want to say it hadn't always been that way. Like listening to people who, I don't know, who were credentialed and had experience and stuff used to be okay and excusable, but not now. Not now. If you don't work in a classroom right now, I don't want to hear nothing you have to say. I am so sorry. And I'm not being mean. I'm not being upset. I'm telling you what this is a general consensus from people that I work with every day, not just physically work with. I'm talking about like educators that I talk to and visit with and socialize with that don't work with me and everything else. If you don't work in a classroom, if that's not where your desk is, I your opinion right now is a sack of pennies. It might can build up and be something, but it ain't the dollar bills that I'm taking to the cash register, if you understand what I'm saying. I know that's gonna hurt some toes. It's gonna hurt some toes. It's gonna hurt some toes because a lot of people think, well, these people have master's degrees and they have they have specialist degrees and they have these doctorate degrees and they have all this stuff and this stuff and this stuff and this stuff, and none of that stuff is putting the fire out in public education right now. None of it. Half of these educational consultants and these people who make policies for education and stuff ain't been in the classroom in the last year, 2 years. And I'm gonna be honest, I've only been in the classroom for 5 years. And I can tell you the classroom 5 years ago and what it looks like now is totally different. even the classroom in the last couple of years, the it's a lot. It's a lot. And so when you got people who are veterans who are not still currently teaching, the belittling. Let me tell you something, honey bun. When you was teaching in 1995, that is not teaching in 2025. Hush, hush. You're not dealing with it. In 1995, you had a level of parental cooperation that most teachers aspire and will pay out their whole salary to have. You had a level of just teacher student cooperation that most teachers now would love to have. If, and I don't have kids permanently, like permanent children in my classroom. My kids rotate out throughout the year. I know some of my coworkers and friends, if they had the parents that my elementary school teachers had, they wouldn't have half of the problem. Public education right now is so great, not so great. It's because people who are not in the classroom, who have never been in the classroom, or who have been out of the classroom for more than 5 years are the people who make the rules for classrooms. And rarely ever do they take into account the actual stakeholder in it, the true stakeholder in education, which is the classroom teacher and the student. We have all these different stakeholders in education, and the only people that don't get heard is the student and the teacher. Make it make sense. They listen to everybody. If something major goes down right now, everybody will get their side heard, but the teacher and the student. It's like when they get to the teachers and the student perspective, it's like, oh, whatever. But they actually make the core of education. What education actually is built off the student and the teacher and their relations. I be looking at some of this feedback that people be telling me they get, even some I've gotten in the past. And I'm like, baby, I can tell you ain't been in the classroom. Like they say on board teachers since Moses came down the mountain with the 10 Commandments, saying stuff like that. Oh, you came and you made one hour observation and that's what you came up with in 1 hour. No, baby, you had some hostilities built up in you before you even came in here, and you was ready to pick apart anything that you could because you want something to pick apart. Because baby, ain't no way in 1 hour you formulated all of that. And some of the things that I've seen people say that they've been told in their observations is exactly why teachers are quitting the way they are quitting. Exactly why we have all of this strife and workplace animosity the way we do. Because who are you to tell somebody something like that? That's crazy. I be looking and listening. I'm like, I don't think people realize that I've not always worked in public education, and that's something that I figured out over the last few years. Is like when you've only worked in public education, like you've only had a teacher job, and you ain't had a job out there in corporate America. That's not how life works. That's not feasible on a job. Like that's not why. That's not, you can't do that on a real job. That's not how it works on a real job. Before I started teaching, I was a trainer over there and a production coordinator and all. the things over there in corporate America for an automotive group. And I made training curriculum and materials, and I trained people and all the things. And somehow, the one thing that I've learned about education is that some of y'all actually think when you train somebody to do something or when you teach somebody to do something, it's giving them a strategy or giving them something, say, here, you can use this. That's not training them to do it. Training them means you give them the instructions, you model it, you do it and walk through them with it. You watch them do it. See, is it going to be okay for the expectations and standards, and you let them go and let them loose. Either you let them loose to do it or you let them go because they can't do it in an efficient amount of time of training. I'm not going to hand you the work instructions to one of my automation machines and say, go out there and run it and give you the parts. And I feel like that's what a lot of education does compared to real work in America. Is they give you these manuals and materials and stuff and just tell you to go do it. Very few programs actually model how this stuff is supposed to work and what it's supposed to do. Because I can tell you now by what I've been told, and I'm not in an education program now, I am or whatever, but it's not gonna mean anything because I worked in education before I went into a program that they was. One of my good friends just graduated and got her first year teacher, and she was like, yeah, I didn't learn none of this in school. This ain't what I learned and this ain't what I'm doing. And I'm getting in trouble with my admin for stuff that I learned in school, the way we learn how to do it in school, but that's the way they taught me how to do it. Like, what you want me to do, but you don't want to come out of your office to teach me how to do it or whatever. You just handing me and shoving materials in my face and telling me to just do it like Nike. No, it doesn't work like that. You want somebody to do something, you come in your model. And I think the first thing is the environment conducive for what you're asking the person to do? Just because it's a standard, sometimes we gotta forego some things, depending on what kind of kids is in there, the circumstances. I had to drink a little water. Situation, whatever. That's why I say, if you ain't been in a classroom, go sit down. And I'm not being rude about it. I'm not trying to be rude about it. I'm not trying to be ruthless about it, but legitimately, just go and sit down. Just sit this one out. We know you mean well. There's no ill intention. None of that. But I need you to have some competence, classroom competence, besides sitting and coming in there in and out or what somebody told you here, there, and everywhere. So I'm gonna dig into all of that, and I'm gonna bring y'all some positives and negatives and other stuff and some ways we can move forward and all the things, because I feel like I went on a little bit of a slant first. Um, but I think it's important for me to go on that slant because I'm sure somebody who feel like they're better than me will try to come and challenge my notions and my podcast. And so let me help you. I don't care. It's my podcast. I told y'all I pay the bills and keep the podcast lights on over here, okay? You don't have to agree with my opinion or what I say, but just respect it. Like, it's okay. If you want to debate, go over there. I don't debate people about my opinion. You, after you get finished hooping, hollering, and screaming, it's still going to be my opinion. I don't let people talk me out of my opinion like that. Because if I state my opinion out loud, that's a lot. Because a lot of things I don't say out loud because out of reverence and respect for people, and I know that's not gonna sound good coming out loud, QE. Like, don't say that out loud. Just keep that to yourself, honey boo girl. So if I say it out loud, that's a lot for me. Um, so let's just dive in. Um, Someone asked me this quite a while ago, and they asked me, what do I feel like is wrong with public education? Like, what in the process would I fix about public education? And the biggest thing that I said that I would fix about public education is the hands of people that don't work in public education. It's literally the biggest problem with people in public education is the people who don't work in public education. They get to say, they get to do, they get to sit, scream, and feel, because behind all the rhetoric about public education, there are some awesome, incredible teachers and scholars making leaps and bounds and doing wonderful and great things, but their lives are being overshadowed with political rhetoric, parents saying what they want to say, doing what they want to do, bad administration, all the things. And now you can't see what I'm actually doing in the classroom, what I'm what my scholars or what your scholar is actually doing in the classroom. I just think a lot of these rules and stuff are bent to people's wants and desires versus the needs of the public classroom. That's why we don't have the funding the way we should fund. That's why we can't teach the way we should be able to teach. We shouldn't be teaching from opinions. We should be teaching the truth. I don't care what subject it is. The best thing about my schooling years, and I can say that I was fortunate, was that my teachers taught. It did not matter who didn't get it, who didn't like it, who didn't care. They taught. It was simple. I'm going to teach this unit and we're going to take a test on it. Some of the units were a week, 2 weeks long. Some of them were leaps and bounds long. But that was the expectation. Now is I gotta see if this person, if they're just gonna offend that person, and you can't say this word, and you can't do that, and you can't say this, and you can't do that. And, oh heaven lords, no, we can't talk about this and we can't say that. Like in school. In school you're supposed to learn. And learning is not indoctrination. And I don't know who tells y'all that we be indoctrinating these kids, because we don't be indoctrinating nothing but our own selves to believe that this is a sustainable job to show up at, and that our mental health won't fail us or our physical health won't fail us while we're here. Because a lot of the times we're here and hadn't seen about ourselves mentally or physically in the name of this job that's barely making ends meet and getting the bills paid. My good friend, after 16 years of teaching, 3 weeks ago, had a stroke in her classroom. She teaches middle school, not going to tell you where. She had a stroke in the middle of giving a lesson. Do you know what the kids did? They laughed at her. Delayed getting medical attention because they thought it was funny. This is what teachers are dealing with. No respect from nowhere. No care, consideration, or anything. But teachers are taking on these burdens of I gotta figure out lesson plans and this and that, and then they want it to be engaging and all of this and that, and then they want this and they want that, and they want that, and they want this, and they want this, and they want that, and they want that, and they want this. When I hadn't went and seen about my own health and well being or anything else. I know, I told y'all this was probably gonna be a tough one. There are very, very great things going on in education. But the best way to get education in a great suit is to get everybody's hands out of it. It's just like the water table. Everybody putting their little nasty hands in. Is it gonna be clean? It's like do you go into the kitchen and not wash your hands and start preparing food and put your hands all over the food? Could the food have been clean and not contaminated and prepared right? Yes, but what was the problem? You went in there without your hands clean and went and start fixing the food, and now everything is nasty and contaminated. And it needs to be thrown out, but you're not gonna tell everybody your hands was dirty and nasty and stuff. You just gonna serve it to everybody. Pray for the best and prepare for the worst. That's what education is like. We're never gonna see all the great progress that's being made. We're never going to see the kids that came into school not speaking, not being able to function, not being able to tolerate school, get with people like me and others who service kids like that, turn them around and get them put into a functional space because all y'all want to talk about is the crazy people that are indoctrinating and making people who they aren't supposed to be. Like, I wish y'all would understand that since y'all so love putting God in church and school and everywhere else, that fear is not a fruit of the spirit. So why do we rule and make decisions out of fear? Why do we fearmonger people all the time? Want to know how to get back to the way it used to be when I was in school? So chill out. Chill out. Let everybody play their role as a stakeholder. Parents need to parents, teachers need to teacher, admins need to administrate. And that's it. And we don't need to be crossing lines over. Everybody needs to take accountability for their role on the stakeholders team and not overcross anybody else's. I promise you it would work. Everybody wants to go, well, Common Core, No Child Left Behind, and all of these things. Yeah, do you know why those things were made? A lot of it was bending to the knee of parents. Screaming and hollering about your child failed. Yeah, your child failed, but huh, let's talk about their home life and what you ain't doing at the house. I vividly remember before going to school, my grandma made sure I was writing my name every day, multiple times a day, making sure that I knew my alphabet, make sure that I knew how to read and write. So when I got dropped off in kindergarten, I was pretty much about a third grader. And I spent a lot of my first couple of primary years of school and board as ever because I knew it all. But it's it's I feel like school now is the sole responsibility of the teacher to do it all. While we just keep throwing the demands on making all the rules. And if you don't do it, then you're the villain. Matter of fact, it don't matter what you do, you're the villain. And it shouldn't be like that. It's so many great programs that have come around and stuff that y'all not even talking about. But y'all talk about in Dr. Race. Can we talk about how dual enrollment is changing lives right now? How high schoolers are participating in dual enrollment programs, getting technical certificates, and being able to go to college and able to hold down full time jobs or whatever that are payable, like welding and HVAC jobs and stuff like that, cosmetology and stuff, so where they can go and work and not be so indebted going to college or just coming out of high school career ready and all ready to go and going and walking into places like Yamaha and making all the money at once because they decided to give up a few PE classes, take some welding, and go get a professional job right out of high school at 18, 19 years old. We're not talking about that. We talking about the teachers trying to make my child gay. They trying to make my child trans. They trying to make my child work. They trying to make my child listen. My child can't have the ridiculousness of arguments is insane for people that y'all expect to lay down their life for if a national if a safety crisis was happening. That's why I say I could never mistreat Christian teachers. Please. I love them people. I ain't got nothing to say because I understand as a parent it's a collaborative effort. Y'all gotta deal with that later all day. Just okay. I wish I had unlimited funds. I guarantee you, if I had money like that, my child's teacher would never worry about cooking, groceries, or any of that because I would literally make sure that my child's teacher had meals to go home all the time or gift cards to buy stuff and everything else because of the amount of work and sacrifice that they make with doing what they do for my child. Some of y'all have never even told your child's teacher thank you. And it's bothersome. Some of your children's teachers go home and cry every day because of something somebody said or did that's beyond their control and they have to take the fault or the blame for it. Every day. And now we get on the internet and we tell how crazy we are as parents. The children play all day in the classroom, don't do their work, they lose their privileges and stuff. And so you get mad, they don't earn a privilege. You come to the school and let me rephrase, let me walk this back. I just seen a video of last week. I guess it was cupcakes. I don't forgot what grade level it was. Well, however, the child got in trouble and wasn't able to get a cupcake when it was time to hand out the cupcakes and stuff in class. And the parent, they went home and told their mama that I didn't get a cupcake. And the parents mad. The teacher, parent reached out to the teacher, what I seen of it. And the teacher pretty much told them that they lost their privilege. You know what that parent did? Went up to the school with a whole thing of cupcakes and said, make sure my child get a cupcake, and the ones that got cupcakes yesterday don't get them nothing or something like that. I'm like, what are y'all teaching the kids by doing that? I'm going to tell y'all what y'all teach the kids by doing some of this crazy stuff. I have the privilege of doing resumes for lots of people, and I have a lot of HR contacts in corporate America that I've made throughout the years. Some of these people went to school with me. Some of these people I just know in general. I tried to get jobs there previously, etc., and we just became cool or whatever. DOL people, etc. And them making excuses looks like this now in work in America. It is now, I don't know, payday, let's say. And I'm going to say Susie opens up her paycheck app and realizes that on an 80-hour paycheck, she only got paid for, I don't know, 60 hours. So Susie runs into HR and say, hey, my paycheck was short. Can you tell me why my paycheck was short? Sure, let me look it up. Well, it looks like you're missing 20 hours because you didn't come to work or you left early. Well, I was sick. Okay. You weren't at work. I can't pay you for work um that you didn't do. Well, what about sick time? You don't have any sick time. So you mean to tell me that I was sick and I don't get a paycheck because I was sick, something that I can't help? Yeah. You don't work. You don't get a paycheck. That doesn't make sense to me. Because if I'm sick, how can I work? Exactly. So you don't get a paycheck when you don't work. I can't help that. I still have bills and everything. Like I don't have enough money to pay my bills. Yep. And that's totally not our problem and not our fault. But if you don't work, you don't get paid. And it's not like even if you had sick days, you don't have sick days or anything. You used them all up. Well, I had other stuff that I had to do. Sick days are for when you're sick. So you're not going to pay me? No, you weren't here. And so now it's a whole firestorm. They storm out the office and they go crazy and all of that. And you know where that started at? Not holding them accountable in school. Not holding them accountable. They rage about how they didn't get their way. You give them their way, and now they don't understand that's not how the world works. I guarantee you we can go right back to a moment where they didn't do something in school and they weren't held accountable for it. They got what they wanted, and now they think that's the way the world works, and it doesn't. I even began to see traces of that in 2019 when I was getting laid off from corporate America. That they just come to work and they didn't work. They came to work and they stood around until I had a tough boss, and he's in my social still or whatever, and they would get upset until they fire him. He left the company before I got laid off. He moved locations rather. But they'll come to work, see their friends, work, play all day, not make their numbers, not make production, and then in a week they in the office and they get up. But I come to work every day and I do this. Yeah, but you're not making production. You're not gonna be a good fit for this company. We have a number that we have to make every day, and you're not making it. So y'all fire me because ain't nobody finna be up in here working all fast and stuff. Well, baby, what are you here for? Because you go to work to work. That's just like school. You at school to learn, not to argue. Because, oh gosh, what is wrong with these kids? They argue about anything. You'll argue me that my glasses aren't clear when they're clearly on my face being clear. Accountability, those problems don't start when they become working adults. They start in elementary school when you don't hold them accountable for their actions. For every time they get in trouble or they don't get in their way, they cry about it, and you give into what they want. It's the same problem I have with Christian now. I used to tell my mama all the time, stop buying Christian food out to eat. There's food at home. She will eat at home. Stop buying Christian food out to eat. I would go because we were working opposite shifts. I come home from work and Christian would come home from school, and you'd have McDonald's or whatever else there. Now I don't have the money to pay for McDonald's and stuff. And it's a battle every day because when Christian don't get McDonald's, then I'm now having to deal with a fighting, combative, out of control child because she wants what she wants. She wants McDonald's. She wants Burger King. She wants this instead of eating the food that's at home. I watch it happen all the time. Christian thinks she can get what she wants. She want. That was the fight. Another fight. Me and my mom. Stop giving in to her crying. Let her cry. She ain't crying about nothing for real. She ain't dying and she ain't hurting. You took it from her, or I took it from her. She don't need it. Then I became the mean bitch that don't take care of their child or don't give their child what they want. Yes, because you're an adult. And I think a lot of parents forget that you're the adult. You're in control. You're in control. Y'all can't be letting 5-year-olds tell y'all what they not gonna do. Huh? They're 5. I mean, I be listening to some of these kids throw tantrums with their parents, and I'm talking about able by, and I'm like, curtail that behavior, because I know what it looks like as a teenager and adult. Take care of that behavior now. Why am I keep going off on a tangent? And y'all, I got a guide and notes in my face, and I keep going off on a tangent. But I guess it need to be said. Y'all'll be all right. Y'all ain't gonna be too mad. um. So let me talk about education from a teacher standpoint, from teachers, because right now teachers are doing great things in the classroom. I mean, really great things. I mean, you have access to a lot of more resources and stuff than you did. Um, and I do feel like a lot of curriculum supplements and stuff out there are really good. Not gonna sit and say we don't. But I think a teachers are only as good as their admins are. So if you have an admin that's continuing to stress, you'll have a teacher that continues to stress. And I know this is gonna hurt some of y'all's thinking and opinions and stuff, but you don't have to micromanage everything a teacher does. It's okay. My homegirl said that she's like, during my observation, I had a kid that all the time refuses to work or whatever. She said, mind you, I have 23 kids in my classroom. This one kid, he's disruptive. He always is going crazy. He didn't want to work. She said, so that day he had decided he was going to lay his head down and he was going to sleep. She said, I had been over there 4 times to say, hey, it's time to work. I need you to lift your head up. He said he wasn't going to work. I felt after the fourth time it had beginning to take away time for the other 22 students in the classroom that actually wanted to get up and wanted to work and do all the things you should do in class. She said, so I stopped. She said, I even did this in front of the person that was observing me, the administrator that was observing me. She said, so I had a fun activity and I got my people in the groups. She said, I even went over to him and I said, hey, it's group time. Your group is this group. He refused to move. He didn't get up and he was like he wasn't doing it or whatever. But not taking away from the other 20 something kids in there that want to learn. She said, it's not out of the norm, not something that I don't do all the time or whatnot. I just um sitting, doing my lessons. I try to do a lot of group work so they can not feel alone. Kids this age don't work good by themselves. It takes about 2 or 3 months to get it right. She said, when I got my feedback back from my observation, she said, in so many words, I was told that I was wrong for not taking more time to help that student understand that they needed to be up and working and that it was really my fault because my activity wasn't engaging enough for every student in the classroom. And I should have thought about that. Huh? I was like, wait a minute. You decide you're gonna refuse to work, you're gonna be defiant, you're gonna interrupt class, you're not gonna work. I've been over there 4 times to help you understand that you need to get up. It's class time, you know. And the best you could write on my feedback observation is that my activity wasn't engaged enough to engage everybody in that, and I should have thought about that. This is why teachers are quitting. And that's not the first observation I've seen like that. I wish it was. Students pick whether they want to be engaged or not. And I don't know why we have this whole I want to say this facade of this happy classroom and happy. Some kids genuinely don't come to school to learn, and if that's what they choose to do, it's not my or any teacher's problem. But why should I take all my instruction time to redirect the one? Jesus left the 99 for the one. I don't feel like teachers should do that. I have an expectation in my classroom. These are my expectations. And the teachers spit out their expectations. You know them. Why not follow them? But as the admin, why didn't you just go ahead and have them removed from classroom? If they want to sleep all day, put them in ISS or tell their mama come pick them up. Bring back suspension. Inconvenience the parent. You hurt a teacher that took their time out to make this beautiful lesson and engaging and fun because me, QV, I am all for paper and pencil. If you've made it to my setting, you need paper and pencil. The fun stuff goes out the window. Sometimes. Now there are some times where we can do fun stuff because some kids need that to learn. But the fluff and the frills, I know this summer like to get your teacher on was all the controversial about it. And I know lots of teachers that've been to get your teacher on or whatever. And I personally would tell you it's a lot of the problem of teachers and administrators. They think that that Pinterest board sorority life is real life in a classroom. And it's not. Not when we have kids that are throwing chairs, being defiant, sleeping, cussing, fussing, and acting a fool, and their parents encourage them. I've heard parents say, "You ain't got to listen to that dang on teacher. That teacher is not your mama. If you don't want to do it, you ain't got to do it." Parents say they keep their kids at home. Yep, I keep my kid at home for their mental health because they don't need to go to that school every day. Them teachers ain't teaching them nothing no way. I don't think y'all understand like the cost of y'all's words. I would hate to be. I'm gonna think of some of the most craziest things that parents have come to the internet about in the last couple of weeks that I would hate to have been the teacher. The teacher with the kindergarten rug situation. I would hate to have been that teacher and spend all my money or whatever to get what I needed. And you came to the internet and cried because you didn't feel like my rug was good enough for your child. Or the parent who was upset because it felt like the teacher's room was too girly and her son was in that classroom and she felt like the decoration was too girly. Like I would hate to have been that teacher and somebody donated that. I didn't even have one decorate my class. Somebody donated to me and I was grateful and thankful. And you came to the internet to berate my classroom decorations. Or the teacher who was only trying to teach a lesson about the expectations of behavior in classroom and you came in there with cupcakes because you felt like I singled your child out instead of what really happened. Your child played all class. It's a hot mess. I would hate to be the any of these teachers where the parents getting on the internet talking about these teachers just ain't teaching no more and going on these rants and raves and I am as a teacher. I'm having to teach and I'm having to take a second job and I'm having issues with my own kids and everything else. And that's been me. I've had a parent to go say some very nasty, harsh things about me when I was going through a crisis with my own kid and really didn't even want to be there at the time. And when it made some ugly, nasty accusations about me that I probably wouldn't have beat without the camera. So I've been there. Again, kindness costs what? Zero? Why are we why is there such a race to assassinate the teacher? There's no reason. I've had friends to tell me now it is October the 4th that say they feel May tired because of all the things that are going on right now. All the demands, all the this, all of that, every other day. It's a parent question. It's a parent concern. It's a administrator coming in and questioning stuff that ain't stuff. Like, do y'all don't see the hostile working environment? I do. I see why the work environment is very hostile. And teacher support is not great. It's always somebody willing to find fault. It's always a problem. Everything's a problem. If we can find a problem, we're gonna find it with teachers. Teachers are just they're not teaching anymore. They having to be a pastor, they have to be a parent, they have to be an administrator, they have to be this, they have to be that. What happened to just teachers teaching? Now on top of all of their teacher duties, now they gotta comb through curriculum and make sure it don't say nothing that's gonna be hurtful or harmful or offensive or get them fired. Even when they sell books through book fairs that they bring to schools, because we all know the teacher that got let go for reading a book that she bought at the book fair that's at her school, which is why I'm not shopping with said book company anymore. That book fair can come to any school that I'm at. I would never be giving them another dime of my money. At that point, you should have stood up for that teacher. At that school, y'all sold her that book. What? Why y'all offer discounts to the teachers in the building for shopping? Make that make sense to me. Y'all are too much and nothing. I mean, declining morale. The morale around being an educator right now is crazy. I mean, and I can attest to this. What does being crazy to your coworkers do? What are you gaining from that? It's already a stressful profession. Why do we have to be ugly towards one another? Condescending, foolish, saying stuff and doing stuff. I shouldn't have to work in a hostile work environment brought on by my coworkers. But often that's what happens. Somebody said the other day, some of these teachers are part of the Mean Girls Club and the Bad Girls Club. I try to speak in there, but it, it don't always happen the other way around. Like the teachers are taking a hit from every side right now. You got the government saying all kinds of stuff. You got some of these administrators, district administrators saying all kinds of stuff. You got school board members saying and doing all kinds of stuff that affects their work environment, their wage, and all kinds of everything else and everything. Like being in some of the teacher groups, social groups, especially a part of some of the Metro Atlanta teacher social groups, private groups on the internet, it's crazy. Seeing people who made teacher of the year quit is crazy. It's not even feasible. And I mean, as somebody who sit in public school, it is so many great things, great programs. Some of these teachers here, they write out for incredible grants and stuff. And everything to make sure that they kids have nicer classroom objects or different other things that they want in their classroom to supplement curriculum and stuff. I see a lot of this stuff when they get their grants and some of the, but we can't see it. That's the forest for the tree of everybody being crazy and psycho towards teachers. Like my indigestion is just hitting me all at the wrong time. I can't even get a sentence out. What is this? I haven't had nothing to be having indigestion today. The it's crazy. Like all teachers want to do is come to work and make turn out the best scholars that they can. And how? How when everybody else don't even care that they exist? I had somebody to approach me about I want to say it's about 6 months ago when they found out that I work in public education, and they was like, "It's not a conflict of your religion, huh?" It's like some all the stuff that y'all are. They teach you the this. I was like, you do know that doesn't happen. Well, they say, who is they, honey? Do these people work in a school? Stop it. Stop it. Y'all could see public education if y'all actually talk to teachers. I can tell you 90% of the things that they say happen in public education don't happen. Education, one of a couple of content creators that I follow put it like this: education is a weapon, knowledge is power. If they feel like you know more than what they know, then they don't have power anymore. So the easiest thing to do is to weaponize education. Stop falling for the weaponization of education. Teachers are still teaching content, not opinions and feelings. They are still teaching curriculum. Teachers, for the most part, aren't teaching things. Aren't teaching. I only knew a few of my teachers' political and religious affiliations because they either went to church with me or they went somewhere we had to know some. I like it. It was a reason outside of classroom that I would know for real. Or what extracurriculars outside classroom. Teachers are not teaching their political and religious affiliations. It's unethical. Don't let people tell you that. They're not teaching that. They're going in there. And now we living in a land now where most of this curriculum is scripted. They just going in there and reading the script because they've taken the individuality out of classrooms. That's why I enjoyed education as much as I did coming up, and I learned as much as I could because my teachers actually taught. A great deal of my um, middle and high school teachers actually had careers before teaching. The ones that actually taught like uh, like a niche based class or like a subject based class actually had experience outside of the classroom. Like my Chem 2 teacher was a food chemist for craft before she was a chemistry teacher. So she was able to teach us from the real world standpoint. My economics teacher was on Wall Street, was teaching, had multiple businesses doing real economics. He just didn't go to school to teach economics like he was a real economist. He really knew economics, and he was teaching us economics from personal finance standpoint up into like Wall Street level economics. And it was because he knew it. This was his life before he started teaching. He was an economist first and then got a teaching degree and or a teacher license and started teaching economics. In college, both of my English teachers actually my my 105 teacher, he was a published author. He was into all the greats who introduced me to Gil Scott Heron, The Revolution Won't Be Televised, and all that good jazz because it's what he did professionally. He was a writer. My other teacher, she was a good friend of Tupac Shakur's mom, and could teach storytelling like no other, and how to write and how to use your mind to write and how to deter from writer's block. My teachers weren't teaching from AI. They were teaching from their own intelligence. That was the beauty of teaching back in the day. You taught from what you knew. I love to hear a good story from my teachers. They told them all the time, but now you can't tell them kinds of stories in classrooms because you risk being fired, and that's what's crazy. But if we got back to that teaching, we got back to zero tolerance and anything else, we got back to suspensions, because I feel like that is the one component of of discipline that we're missing. We're missing suspensions. Suspend these kids. Get them out of the way of kids who really want to learn. Inconvenience the parent. Because when you make parents parent, they will parent. When you gotta miss days and days of work because you gotta sit at home with your child that's been suspended, and before y'all say the school do too much, the school don't do too much, sometimes you parents don't do enough, and I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that soon. Zero tolerance. I'm gonna tell you, as a kid who grew up kind of sort of in zero tolerance area, everybody got suspended. You wasn't gonna interrupt class and do all that muckiness and stay in class. I'm gonna tell you, it worked. I got my education, but here I am sitting in school now, and some of y'all's friends, your kids' classes being evacuated because of a disruptive student 5 and 6 times a week, because a student is in there disruptive, throwing down and tearing up the classroom. Now let's talk about education from a student standpoint. The biggest problem about being kids right now is that ain't nobody teaching them how to be leaders. They all being followers. I'll tell you how they all being followers: video games and the internet. These kids don't ride as many as bikes no more. I remember riding my bike all around town. They don't go outside no more and touch grass. That's why they deal with so many issues, mental issues. They internalize everything because they sit in the house all the time with the video games. And again, like I said, go outside and touch grass. It's totally avoidable. Y'all don't teach kids enough how there's not enough consequence for foolishness. They don't lose, and I know some people say that's abusive and everything else, but by God, it works. Y'all don't lose your door to your bedroom. Y'all don't lose your phones anymore. The TV. People say spanking is abuse. No, beating is abuse. But some of y'all hadn't had spankings, and I can tell. Some of y'all kids ain't had them. I didn't say beat your kids, but some of these kids spanking, eh, some kind of spanking helps. Mind you, I didn't say beat your kids. I said a spanking. A spanking. So folks, I know y'all are mad because I said it. But ain't nothing wrong with spanking. It's wrong with beating, but ain't nothing wrong with spanking. Spanking is not abuse. Beating is. These kids don't do. I think a lot of it too is these kids don't get to be kids. We don't keep them kids. Just let them free run and do what they want to do. They don't have to come home and listen to you. Nobody. They don't have to listen to a parent. They don't have to do nothing. And it creates a mental crisis at school when literally a teacher asked them to write their name on a paper and they're having a whole meltdown because they have to write their name. I always say this. I can tell the kids that don't have boundaries. I can tell the kids that don't have rules. I can tell the kids that don't have to do anything. They don't have chores and stuff at home because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, that stuff shows in the social situations. If you don't teach them at home, they come in public and embarrass you. That's the biggest thing about the anxiety and stuff of school is because they don't be you don't where parents are not making students touch grass. They're not making them follow directions, do chores, real chores. I get kids that are disabled and they can't clean up their rooms, but as a parent, after about 5 years old, why are you still cleaning your child's room? Is huh? So when I'm in class and I ask them to clean up after themselves, they don't know what I'm saying because they're not made to clean up at home. And so now I have a kid throwing down because the teacher told me to clean up. I ain't asked you to move Mount Everest, babe. I told you to clean up. I hope y'all are seeing how these actions make bigger problems. That's what I'm trying to paint this picture. Hopefully. Maybe. Sorta. Kinda. And then this is a big student thing. This is huge. We're not teaching our kids to be sympathetic, apathetic, or empathetic. A lot of these parents actually teach their kids to pick on other kids. Way more than I know people like you come from the era of millennials, Joan and roast people to death. Millennials might have Joan and roast people to death, but they wasn't sitting in the middle of the class dumping out kids' notebooks, making them doing all kinds of crazy stuff to them and stuff. But I also want to say this. If you know something is wrong with your child that could potentially affect the way that they learn or the way that they would be able to process an environment with 20 something odd other people, why are we not going to special ed or going to MTSS or whoever to get 504s and IEPs done? Because everything is now is, oh, all y'all want to do is label our kids so y'all can get money. No, what I don't want to happen is my gen ed teacher having to teach through catastrophic behaviors that they're not trained to teach through. It's not that simple. And I hear people say that all the time. Well, if she a teacher, then she should just be able to teach. No, a teacher should not have to teach through that much disruption and craziness. I was hoping this podcast was gonna come out a different way, but it ain't. But I'm trying. But it ain't. Y'all gonna probably say I got it out for everybody. No, I don't have it out for everybody. But these are things that I know that work. Collaboration is always the key. Everybody being on the same page is always gonna be the answer. When you get one person off page, then the whole thing is just collapse. I mean, we just we the issue with the disrespect and everything else that teachers are feeling, especially when we got things that like what happened to my friend who um had a stroke at the front of the classroom. Kids shouldn't have been laughing. They should have been seeking medical attention. Seeing was she okay? But we're not even teaching kids social cues. We ain't teaching them how to respond in certain situations or I don't know what you call it, situational responses. If this is happening, then this is what you should do. If my teacher in from I went to public school in 94. From 94 to 2008. I've been in school since I've been in preschool. So I went to preschool in 90. I was one. So from 90 to 2008, if at any point in that time that my teacher would have fallen out and I didn't go search and render aid or go figure out how to render aid, it'd have been off with my head. My mama would have got me. A part of me felt like they laughed because they didn't know exactly what to do. And a part of me felt like they laughed because they just thought that was a funny moment. But what's funny about your teacher falling out in the floor is crazy. There's nothing funny about any of it. It's a little weird. Um, I can just look at the student experience, and mind you, I'm only in elementary school, but I most of the people that I know that teach, they teach middle and high school, and they don't care for little kids like that. They deal with the older kids, and I hear how they talk about the battle with the disrespect, the battle with the antics, and having to battle the internet and all of these things. The bottom line about if we want to gain a positive student experience, it's really going to start with parenting. It's really going to start with limiting what we expose kids to. I do think these kids are overexposed because of the internet. A lot of these kids don't know anything off of the internet. They can't even count, do simple math or anything without their computer in front of them because they've been really indoctrinated to sit in front of an electronic device. Hence me being so pencil and paper pushy. But I feel like they live in this digital reality until they have to live in actual reality, and somehow they clash. They don't know. A couple of, it might have been last year, a good friend of mine, content creator, was like, "Girl, they don't know how to code switch. Like they don't know how to turn off the way they talk to their friends, the way they talk to adults, the way they handle adults versus the way they handle peers. They don't know how to turn it off. They just, this is how they talk to and treat everybody, and it's not acceptable. But also, no one outside of school is making them be responsible or teaching them that it's not okay. And I think that's why we got a lot of riffraff in school, because believe it or not, it's a community effort. We can say the teachers don't do, the parents don't do, the teachers don't do. No, it's an actual community effort. But expecting a teacher to show up and fill the gaps of everybody around that child, quote unquote, the village, is insane. A teacher can only do so much. They have 8 hours a day with your kid, and some of y'all feel like that's more hours than you have them. But no, actually, you have them more hours than we do. And I sit and I listen to these arguments online all the time, from parents, and I'm like, what? Why can't you just collaborate? Or why can't you just ask a clarifying question? Why is everything defensive, mean, crazy, and stuff? Like, I feel like some of the things where I've actually seen not so great, not so professional responses for teachers, from teachers, it was because of how that parent, how their parent approached them, and they just approached them back with the same energy. I'm not saying that happens all the time. I'm not saying that teachers are perfect or anything, but I think that literally right now a lot of teachers are in, I'm going to treat you how you treat me. So if you come over here crazy, talking to me crazy, I'm going to talk to you back like you crazy. And it's not good policy, it's not professional. It's not good. I had a family a couple of months ago that I was doing some advocacy work for on another district, and she called me screaming and blah blah, and I mean she was going 95 miles an hour, going off, and she was telling me what she was about to do, and I said, wait a minute, hold on. I said, the first thing is you're gonna check your tone. I said, because nobody's teacher deserves to be talked to that way by anybody. She is not your child. She is not subject to you. She is a professional working a job. So come on back. Let's check ourselves and let's see how you can that, formulate your thoughts, express that you're upset, disappointed, and angry without being crazy and going off on this lady. Because she don't have to take that. She can hang that phone up and tell you to go stick it where the sun don't shine. And if I was her admin, I wouldn't blame her. Personally, I think administrators should stop letting parents come sideways to people and letting it be okay, and stop blaming teachers for parents going crazy. When they can learn how to talk to this person like they're a professional on a job, then they can talk to them. Oh, she was cussing and acting a fool at you and you hung the phone up? Okay. Let me call her and let me say, hey, I'm the principal of XYZ school. I was told by XYZ teacher that you were on the phone and you were using very um explicative words, you were screaming and hollering, and I don't accept parents or anybody calling my school like that. So whenever you have a minute to calm down, walk away, formulate your thoughts, then you can come and call back, or you can schedule a meeting with myself and XYZ teacher. And if you decide upon it and you come to the school screaming and hollering acting fool, I will be forced to get law enforcement involved. That's how we gonna stop a whole lot of teacher stress, is if you push back on crazy behavior. These kids hollering and screaming and out of control in class, remove them and suspend them. Do not take them away and put them back in 5 minutes. One of my favorite administrators on Facebook, well, on social media right now is Lamb, Principal Lamb. And he makes good points. And I've seen it multiple times. Please don't remove. How do you think it feels, since I work in a behavior setting? How do you think it feels if I'm teaching 19 kids? I have one kid out of control, disrupting the other 18 kids from learning. This child starts acting up, throwing stuff, hits me or another adult in the classroom, saying all kind of things. I call for an administrator. They remove them and bring them back with a lollipop and a snack or candy. Then after school, I get reprimanded for removing that child. Do I not supposed to? What is that? But that happens every day somewhere in somebody's classroom. We see teachers talk about it on social media all the time. If a child hits a teacher, I don't care what circumstance and situation it is, unless you are in a behavior setting and we're working on a bit. But let me put this, in a general education classroom, if a child hits an adult in front of all of their gen ed peers, if they assault that adult, they don't need to come back to class for the rest of the day. At some point, we're going to have to restore teachers' human rights back to them. Because flip it around, if the teacher hit the student, then they're going to jail. It's time to level the playing field for everybody. Nobody should have more power than the other in public school. Not teachers, not admins, not parents, not students. There should be a action and consequence check for everybody. Admins don't do their jobs, and teachers and staff members have to continuously go to the district about them, then they need to be removed from their job. Teachers not doing their jobs, and it's always constantly somebody have to go to admin about them, then they need to be removed from their jobs. Students constantly causing trouble, strife in the system. We need to look for the placement. We need to be seeing, is it because of manifestation of a disability, and we need to be testing and seeing, are they in their right placement? Do they need a behavior plan or whatever? And if so, if it's just bad behavior and I do just what I want to do and stuff like that, then they need to be removed from the classroom. And possibly, if it's ongoing and chronic, put in alternative school and let them figure it out in alternative school. Parents not holding this, not doing what they need to do as parents, having to continue to chase parents down and all that stuff, then there needs to be some kind of consequence for that. I feel like the teacher bears the consequences in all of these. When they have bad level admin, the teachers suffer. When they have bad students, the teachers suffer. When they have parents who make bad choices, don't do what they're supposed to do, the teacher suffers. Students don't do their work. Students don't be engaged. Admin walk in the classroom, and the teacher suffers. Can we push some of the responsibility back off to the people who the problem actually belongs to? Because everything doesn't belong to the teacher. I promise. And I'm going to be straight and I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm going to keep it a buck. I really haven't met too many. I hadn't met really a bad teacher. I've met teachers that probably shouldn't be in that setting. They would probably excel in another subject area, another grade level, or another setting. But I haven't really met bad teachers. Bad admins, though? Buddy. Like, how? How did you become an administrator? I don't even feel like you could get this classroom right. Or did becoming an administrator make you be that way? Because it doesn't have to be that way. I have cousins, close cousins, that are administrators. And they do so well and they treat their people so well. And you could go and talk to the people in their building, and their people will tell you they speak nothing bad about them, speak highly of them, and they have control over their staff. And their staff are performing, they're making a grade, they're making whatever standards, all that. But I've met people in a school with a principal that's micromanaging and they die. They suffering. The morale is horrible. Y'all listen to Christian, because Christian has literally sat here and screaming, and fake screaming actually. And I don't even know why she's fake screaming. Christian losing her marbles in him. Like, girl, why are you making all of that noise? Like, what are you doing? My God, today. But back to what I was saying. Like, I've seen with good teachers, bad admin, and they bring out a morale and make everybody want to quit, don't want to show up for work, call out just because. Like, all of that play in effect. That's why I say, as hard as school is right now, collectively, the 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 biggest thing you could do right now is have compassion and be kind. It is tough. Some people just don't know. They're watching other things happen. They're having some of their friends that's maybe not in the same district they is. They're having some of their friends fired and laid off, and other districts are acting according to other things and saying stuff, and they don't know if it's going to be them next. Like, be compassionate. This with everybody. You don't have to like me or anything. I'm not asking for people to come and sit around me and kumbaya or anything. But the least thing you can do is be kind and compassionate. Neither one of them costs anything. If you gonna be about Jesus, remember that Jesus was graceful. And you should be graceful as well. And parents, I'm gonna tell y'all something else. I challenge y'all to be involved past, when the school call you. Like, be involved, be a actual stakeholder in your child's education. You shouldn't know that your child is failing when the teacher call you. Like, if the teacher call you and telling your child failing, you should already know that. I mean, most schools are plugged in now. And remember, it's not always the teacher's fault. It's not always your fault. Sometimes, let me see, how can I say this? I guess sometimes you need to start asking questions for clarity before you start getting upset. Cause something I know, and I mean, I even did it myself. These kids come home and they tell half the story, or they tell a half a truth, half a lie, or they just outright tell a lie. But what I never ever will do, even if I had an atypical kid, is take my kid's word over their teacher's word. I'm gonna go ask some questions for clarity, and I'm gonna determine, okay, is my student telling the truth, or is the teacher telling the truth, or is there the truth somewhere in the middle? Is it a misunderstanding, or is it just outright I don't want to do? Because people come in and talk about, well, they don't never do that at home and blah blah blah. There are things that a teacher can't do that y'all feel like teachers can do. I give you an example, one that I've seen prevalent in the last few years. This was also an argument on social media, that kids coming to school and not potty trained. Do understand that it is illegal for teachers to go in the bathroom of a student in any form of way or fashion, like going in the stalls and stuff with a student, unless they have a documented disability and they need to be changed and all the things, and it's been put through probably in the IEP, definitely probably not a 504. That teacher can't go in the bathroom with that kid. So being upset with a teacher because they can't do it, sweetheart, that's illegal. And you shouldn't lie and say, oh, little Jimmy's potty trained, and little Jimmy's not potty trained. And it's not even realistic to ask a teacher to take a child to the bathroom on a troop training schedule in Gen Ed, because they have times that they have allotted for stuff. And usually in kindergarten, simple Gen Ed, they usually go to the bathroom. They probably have open bathroom time like in the mornings when they first get there, from like 7:20 to 8. And again, I'll use our time schedule for example, like 7:20 to 8. They probably let them use the bathroom as they need to. They probably go to the bathroom again about an hour after that. They probably go about as a class, probably about an hour or so into school or whatever, because of course they don't ate breakfast and all the things, and then you want them to go to the bathroom. They probably go from there. They probably go again if it's not lunchtime around 10:30. They probably go again at about 10:30 ish, 11 ish, and that's usually around lunchtime for them. And then they probably go again, probably somewhere in the 12:30, 1 o'clock time, depending on what they got going on. Are they going to specials? And they probably go to the bathroom before specials to keep them from interrupting specials. Are they going to recess? They probably going after recess or before recess or whatever to potty or whatever and wash your hands. All that good stuff and jazz. And then they probably use it again later in the day, free time, as they getting ready to dismiss before they get ready to get on the bus. But think about it. If I got 22, 25, 26, I've seen kindergartens in the last couple of years with like 25, 26 kids in the classroom. I cannot stop. A para even cannot stop and take your child to the bathroom at 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30, 1, 1:32, and right before they get on the bus, like 2:20. That's not feasible. So you have to potty train. So it's like, oh my God. And I see what's happening. They making me come all the way from work because my child had an accident and whatever. Yeah, if your child have an accident in elementary school, they have to know how to clean themselves and put their own clothes on. Teacher can't do it. This is when I say this. If you know, I said this earlier, there is something going on with your child that they cannot sit in a regular class with peers that are in their developmentally appropriate age of 5. Because potty training is not developmentally appropriate at 5. That's a skill that should be mastered before they turn 2.5. I think that's what they say. No later than 3, your child should be potty trained. Your child shouldn't even be in night pull-ups after 3 years old. Unless, again, they are developmentally delayed. So if you feel like something is wrong, let me tell y'all something. Let me speak to y'all as the parent with the child that has all the developmental disabilities and delays and stuff. Oh man. I noticed Christian's autism symptoms. I didn't notice them, but going back, I noticed them at 2. Is when I noticed something was wrong. And so that's when we start trying to do all the things. But going back, they were showing at 6 and 7 months old. I just didn't know what was going on. I thought she was just being playful, but literally she was headbanging, stimming, self-soothing, all the things. Then it all came to a head when she was 2, 3, 4, 5. The earlier you intervene with these things, the better off the outcome. If you don't intervene early, you risk the chance of making it very, very, very difficult to not be able to deal. I'm going to tell you, I've seen kids recently that are 7, 8, 9 who parents never had them in school, never got them any kind of treatment and stuff, and now all of a sudden they want to throw them. Like, they don't even do, I don't think most ABA programs don't even go up that high, because literally you need to be a baby. That's when you train the brain to do what it needs to do. And I'm going to tell you, untreated autism and ADHD turns into aggression because there's no way to properly outlet. The communication point is stuck. So if you got a child that you suspect that may be on the spectrum or may have a little something going on, there ain't no shame in it. Find somebody, ask somebody, get some help. Go tell somebody. Tell the doctor. Usually they'll get you somewhere if they have suspicions. I would tell you this, from all of the questionnaires that the doctor asks you, answer them honestly and truthfully. Your child ain't doing it, they just not doing it. It's fine. But I'm gonna be the first one to tell you, even at 5 and 6, that's too old to be starting interventions, especially when the level of the severity of the disability is severe. When you're talking about like Christian level, 5 and 6 and just trying to intervene is crazy. I don't mean to say it like that, but it's gonna be a hard job. I'm just thinking about it. Christian went to pre-K, especially at pre-K at 3, and how at probably the whole year they had to teach Christian how not to climb on things, how to sit down, how to sit and tolerate and do things and not be so wild out in the jungle. It's probably what they spent their first thing. Those things don't come natural to kids on the spectrum and that have ADHD. They wander, they explore, They stem, they jump all over the place, they fidget. That's what they do. So by the time, she got to actual kindergarten, she could sit down a little bit and do some work. But think about how much work pre-K 3 and 4 had to put in. So imagine showing up at school at 5, 6, and 7 and that haven't had ABA or some kind of special ed pre-K or something, and how hard the teachers and support people have to work then. The earlier you do this, the better. I promise you, there is nothing wrong with a child on the spectrum. They actually tend to be a little smarter than us. The only thing wrong with children on the spectrum, sometimes I say, it's just like a TV with no sound. It's not that we can't understand that what's going on the TV. You just can't hear it. Does it make the TV any different? You could turn the captions on if it mean that much to you. Unless you blind and you really need to hear what's on the TV. Other than that, there are other modes of output on the TV. The captions. Or you can just look at it and make inferences. I don't know. Go online. Read a synopsis. Same thing with autism. Doesn't mean that they broke and they need to be fixed. Because this whole notion now of trying to fix autism is crazy to me. Do we try to make them more comfortable and make them where they can actually function more in society and all of that? Absolutely. But fixing autism, that sentence just drives me. As a parent with an almost 14-year-old with autism and some of the severe level of it, severity, probably one of the most severe cases of autism you'll see in a human. Yeah. And before y'all come at me and be like, Christian ain't as severe as other kids, I know other kids have other compounding diseases and disorders. Christian is strictly on the spectrum and have ADHD. And if you take her strictly considerable spectrum disorder, things that have derived from her being on the spectrum, she is probably one of the most severest cases of autism, just pure autism. Not talking about adding all the other things that other kids have, just pure autism that you will see. You don't see very many children with autism that are that extreme and aggressive and all the things as Christian is. Let us not give Christian her medicine, and she'll be like some of these friends that y'all see on social media that y'all be frowning and clowning their parents about. That's not serious. That's not funny. I thank God it ain't got to the point where I had to make a decision to have Christian removed from the house because of. I tell the doctors over here, you do what you got to do. Because I don't want my child in a mental facility. But if she have to go, will I put her there? In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I think, I guess, going back off this tangent, I guess the biggest thing is about public education is that everybody's a stakeholder and they need to hold their stake in it. Even the community. Donate to these community, the schools, they're not funding this stuff anyway. If you see a teacher that needs to ask for something, needs something, give it. If you know a teacher, please do something nice. Buy them something. Do something. If somebody's like, hey, QV, I know you probably done had a rough week. Can I come over and cook you dinner? Or can I come wash your dishes? Do you know I'll be like, yeah. It's small things. I know a lot of teachers that have confided in me that are drowning. The job is stressful, life is doing its thing, they don't have money and everything else. And it feels like once they overcome one challenge, another one comes in, or 50 more come in my case. And it's like all I'm trying to do is just keep my head over water. And that's becoming hard. If you know a teacher, say something. I've heard some of my online teacher friends say some scary stuff that's going on in the school districts that they work in. Things that they're being told by their administrators, not rumors, their administrators, district level administrators. That's scary that I hope don't quite happen here. Or at least I hope the people over there in their central office is prepared for or preparing for. I'm not going to speak much on it. But if some of the things I've heard start coming to pass, I think that morale is really going to take a hit. As if it's not already nosediving in this climate. Or cliff diving. It's rough. So I guess that'll, you know, wrap up my educational talk. I think I've said enough good stuff and stuff y'all needed to hear. Because I'm going to just be honest, as optimistic as I wanted to come into this conversation, because I did, and I talked to one of my homies that I talk to every day, and she told me, she said, and she listened to this podcast, she said, you need to kind of balance it out, QV. You gotta have the good with the bad. And I wanted this to be more good, but then as I started to think on it, pray about it, and all the things, I don't think people understand that the profession right now isn't all rosy posy. Like there are good things going on in education. As I mentioned, there are lots of good things going on in education. I challenge y'all to go ask your child's teacher about some of the things that's going on school wide and district wide. Like there are a lot of good things going on. Lots of nice stuff happening. But this climate is overshadowing it and making it like we ain't doing nothing. I mean, some of my good friends are winning awards and grants for their ideas and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I'm not in a traditional setting. So there's a lot that I can't and I'm not going to be able to do. But if I was like, that would be really cool if I could do that or whatever type deal. But literally, go ask your child's teacher. And I mean, if you have some kind of time, even if it's an hour, and I know this gets to be a little bit more difficult with the older kids, go ask your kids' teachers anything you could do for them. You ain't got to sit in the classroom. Go stand at the copier and make copies. Go laminate, cut. Go print out some stuff. Run an errand. Maybe they need to go pick up some stuff for a lesson that they really need. Oh my God, Christian, why are you being so loud? Everything doesn't have to cost money to show somebody that you appreciate their work and their effort. And I mean, that saves the teacher time. Nowadays, most teachers are caught up in meetings on their quote unquote planning time. Every day, it's a meeting, it's a meeting, it's a meeting. Oh, we need to do this. Oh, we need to do that. Where teachers rarely get planning time. Most for the most part, teachers, if you put in like their special time and lunch, I would say roughly planning time is about 60 to 90 minutes for most teachers. But most teachers spend 45 to 50 of those minutes in a meeting almost every day. Or, it's the only time they got. So they got to run and make phone calls. This is a journey, been disruptive the whole morning, and we got to deal with this. Or admins backing them in the office for some mess. Like, it's little things that matter. If you want some ideas on what you can do that doesn't cost money to show your child's teacher or show a teacher appreciation, hit me up. I got plenty of ideas. I got tons of stuff you can do. Tons. And I mean for all grade levels. I got tons of stuff you can do that the teachers would actually love for you to do. Everything does not have to cost money. But seriously, it is the thing that the community could do. And another thing the community can do is take the time to get to know stuff without letting everybody tell you what happened. Especially when they don't work in a school. I beg y'all to stop taking advice and information from people about school that don't work in school. At least let them work in education. At least. And I'm talking about in or around a school district. Please. I'm not talking about these state offices and federal offices. I'm talking about in or around a school district where they by chance might have some kind of interaction with teachers and kids. We can do this, y'all. We can do this. We can not be the crazy for the crazy. It doesn't have to be like this. I promise you, it does not have to be like this. It was not like this. I don't remember it from 93, 94. Well, see, I went to public school in 94, I think. From 94 to 2008, it was never like this. Never. So I know it can be done. I legit know it can be done. All everybody got to do is just get on the same page to stop foolishness. It's going to be okay. All right. I know I'm gonna have to go back and make a what you call that, an exclusive this week because yeah, um, see, end of Scott topics in school, and boy, that took me 2 hours to talk about. And really, since I'm here, it actually took me 14 hours. I've been recording this podcast because of everything that's been going on today. Christian and all her loudness and crazy and all the things that, oh my gosh, 14 hours. And I actually do have one more topic. And I forgot about it because I didn't write my other topic down on my paper like I usually do when I come to the podcast deck. I want to talk about something that's been happening a whole lot, and I'm not calling anybody out right now. Let me say this now. I'm not calling anybody out. It was said to me, not in my situation, but somebody said it to me, and I wholeheartedly agreed. And I was like, I don't think people understand that when they do that, that's how other people feel. I said, so I'll say it. I was like, you know me, I'll say the tough thing. And I want to talk about this: burials, funerals, cremation, dead folk, and no insurance. Okay, I'm going to be very quick because I know this is going to sting. Funerals are for people who have life insurance money, policies, or if you can afford to split the bill. If they didn't leave no money, they're going to have to be cremated. Point blank, period. There's no reason why people are going to astronomical amounts of debt for a funeral. Having an auction off, pawn, sale, take out loans, all these things for a funeral. No, it is unacceptable. Very unacceptable. Because I now know what post-life debt look like, and I know that's just the beginning of your debts. Especially if you're an executive of an estate. They have debts that can be charged up against the estate that you have to pay in order to keep the estate, and then lawyer fees if you got to probate it out and all that. I know that's the beginning of the end. And it's very crazy, and it makes sense for the person that said it, to come and ask the internet for 10, 15, 20, $30,000 for a funeral because you feel like your loved one should be sent out properly and blah 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 blah, yada yada this. And I don't want to sound harsh when I say this, because I understand there are predicaments where people get in situations and they can't afford insurance or whatever. If you care, you get insurance while you live, so we don't cry while you die when you die. Because honestly and truthfully, I have a policy on my daddy. I've been had it for years or whatever. And Christian too. I got enough money. I got enough money to have my little funeral. But I don't even think he really care about all that because the funeral is expensive. But if you have enough money to cremate them, and have a nice memorial service and move on. I've seen people get outright upset talking about my cousin, my mom, my aunt, my uncle died, and y'all won't even help us bury them. They shouldn't have to. They shouldn't have to. You got $1,500, $2,000, however much they cost, because I've done this twice now. Well, my mama did it with my aunt, and I did it with my mama. And I think my aunt's cremation was like $2,000. It was right at $2,000. I think it was like $1,900. So I know under $2,500 you can get a cremation. You feel me? So take that money and go. Stop stressing yourself out over something and nothing. It's okay to have a funeral without the funeral home. With a cremation, ashes, and everything. I did it. You need help? I can guide you. I even come help you set it up right. With just ashes. And I know some of y'all finna get it with the Bible say that Jesus said you're not supposed to be cremated. I didn't find it. Y'all get on my nerves. Please. If people don't have any money and you can't pay for it and it not hurt your pockets, stop begging for funeral money. Because I'm here to tell you 1000%, you don't know what kind of expenses that they leave behind. And some of those expenses is not simply things you can ignore. You have to pay them. Or, of course, I'm sleepy now. I've been recording this podcast forever and a day. All right, food this week. That's the end of that. Food this week. This week I ain't really eating that much or whatever. I will do this though, because it's gonna roll in the shout outs. I do want to shout out somebody. Somebody was generous enough to give me a Red Lobster family dinner, and I don't know who it was. All I know is I appreciate you. I thank you. It's somebody who actually knew my address and kind of sort of knew what I liked, at least what I would eat, and me and Christian would eat anyway, because I'm gonna assume they bought the fried stuff for Christian and the grilled stuff for me. Um, and she did. She ate it. And I ate it too. And I had enough to eat for lunch for like 2 days. And I appreciate that. Just, oh no. I was kind of worried and concerned and all the things, and then that swooped in, and it was simply amazing. I appreciate it all. It was good. So good. If you ain't been to Red Lobster, somebody treated me to Red Lobster a couple months ago. Right when they did the seafood boils, and then this right here, I went again. Let me tell you something. If you haven't been to Red Lobster lately, go. I can't think of his name. The 35-year-old CEO. He bring a Red Lobster back to 90s Red Lobster. I was an avid Red Lobster goer in my day. I was a big Red Lobster stepper. I ate Red Lobster all the time. Red Lobster in my Red Lobster in my daddy house back in the day was not a luxury. It was nearly a requirement. My daddy took me to Red Lobster a lot. A whole lot. My daddy in the 90s, he ate Red Lobster. When I learned that you can order alcohol without alcohol, I used to drink the strawberry daiquiri virgin all the time. Christian, when Christian was born, Christian first couple of years of her life, her first few birthdays, I know the three, probably three, four, two, three, four, five, probably two, three, four, five, six, something like that. Christian would go to Red Lobster on her birthday. I took Christian to Red Lobster on her birthday because what she likes. Christian love a Red Lobster. You want to give Christian a gift card? You Christian love. When I say love Red Lobster, two places on this earth that make Christian happy, and they both owned by the no, they're not owned by the same restaurant group no more. They're not owned by the same restaurant group. It was though. It's Red Lobster and Olive Garden. Christian to do some strange things for that Red Lobster and Olive Garden. Bookie. If you ask what she get, Red Lobster most of the time is shrimp Alfredo, but she will eat fried fish, and she like the mozzarella sticks. And Christian want her whole salad with $1,000 dressing. Christian's $1,000 girl. She want her whole salad, $1,000 dressing, and she want every biscuit on that table. Olive Garden all the same. She don't really care for the salad at Olive Garden like that. Sleepiness. She eat a couple of bites of it, but yeah, she ain't too keen too big on salad at Olive Garden. But she do want she do like the I eat the shrimp fritter thingy that they got. Now they done changed shit, fried shrimp appetizer thing. She be liking to eating the bell peppers, the fried bell peppers and stuff like that, because I don't eat nothing but the shrimp out the appetizer. The spicy shrimp thing I'm about. And then yeah, she eat the Alfredo at Red Lobster. She eat the Alfredo too. The fried fish, etc. I think I just said that twice, but my brain is fried and sleepy, and I mean it's fried and it's sleepy. Other than that, it's another place that I really ain't told y'all about on this app. I hadn't ate it this week, but it's up by my job, and I'm gonna tell y'all, if you ain't been, you been missing it. Waldo's chicken and Bill. Don't drink Bill, but Waldo's chicken. Let me tell you something. I don't know who back there feasting that Waldo's chicken, but that chicken back there got a big arm, and I love it. I ate the fried and I eat the rotisserie, but I love the fried the best. I always give me a fried quarter white with collard greens and white beans, and they is got the best. I I don't even know how to describe. I don't even. Let me tell you something. Jim and Nick's and Waldo's on out collard greens got me in a choke. In a choke, bruh. Can't eat out often. Can't have them often, but they put the little onions on top of man. They so good. Jim and Nick's too. Jim and Nick's got good sides. I like Jim and Nick's ribs and I like their catfish. But Jim and Nick's sides, whoa. Jim and Nick's potato salad and collard greens and macaroni and cheese. Yeah, hand it here. Hand it here. Don't you pass go. Hand it here. Let me see who else. I'm shouting out. I really don't think I got anybody else shout out. I don't think. Um, yeah, I forgot. Anyway, the question of the week is tell me what you like to do on the internet. That's what I want to know. I want to know what y'all like to do on the internet. Tell me what it is you like to do. Everybody got something different that they like to do on the internet. Whether it be playing a certain game, whether it be surfing, doom scrolling, shopping, listening to a favorite podcast, etc. Tell me what it is you like to do on the internet. And my words of wisdom and encouragement, as I've already really given them, is be kind, be compassionate, have grace. If you are really a follower of Christ and you call yourself a Christian, which literally translates to followers of Christ, disciple of Christ, disciples are kind, caring, and compassionate. They are not chaotic, causing riffraff, and doing foolishness. True followers of Christ display Christ-like behavior. And I spoke a little on this in my front of the cast. I'm going to speak it again. What happened to Kyron Lacey was unfortunate. And it really, really stung just a little bit. Because y'all don't know how to be kind. Y'all don't know how to be patient. Y'all don't know how to let justice run its course or anything. Also, y'all decide to tell people how their experience is in the United States. Because here we are again, another black man gone from this planet who was wrongfully accused for something. They die, and we find out that someone quite right with his story. And the mere fact that there's a video that negates the whole story that was told in the first place, y'all had that video from the beginning when y'all framed this man. And I really, really, really hate he committed suicide or whatever, but I can imagine everything that he had worked hard for, he had done, and everything else, and it just kind of poof and went up in smoke. Yeah, he might have done some things, and he might have was wrong. But this being accused of murdering somebody and know you ain't did it, and knowing full on well you a black man in a country that despises your very fiber of your being, is enough to scare you up, give you the anxiety of your life and in this world. That's why when I have people that are people of color come talking about some, well, it's really not racism going on. Girl, I still in 2025 experience racism and prejudice all of the time. Flat out blatant racism. You cannot gaslight me. And I don't know why y'all get this idea of where y'all live in this alternate reality or y'all like to gaslight black people. I don't know. But I'm here to tell you, as a black woman, it is not safe for black people to live on this planet in certain spaces. And one of them is in the United States. Because we experience still now, post Jim Crow, we still experience racism, whether you feel like we do or we don't, which is it's not your experience and your story to tell anyway. When you're not a person of color, we still experience racism on multiple wavelengths and scales. No, they are still not telling us where we can and can't go, but they not picking us. No, they ain't telling us that it's a black restroom and a white restroom. But a lot of times when we go in stores that are affluent and stuff, they look at us like we're crazy, like we're not supposed to be there, and suggestively try to suggest that we might be stealing. I be like, y'all don't understand that all black people don't steal and they're crazy and all this stuff. A lot of us are educated and will clock you in a heartbeat. That's the whole point of DEI, and I went into this. That's the whole point of affirmative action measures of DEI. DEI and affirmative action, if you really know what it is, then you'd hush your mouth. DEI and affirmative action does not give somebody underqualified or unqualified the position. It makes it where everybody in the candidate pool that is qualified gets seen. Black doctors are not unqualified. They can still do surgery. If DEI truly meant what some people put it out to mean, that means that I would have a teaching job by now with no education. You don't see lawyers performing dentistry. You don't see people getting off the street and just going to do stuff. No, they are still in school, training, certified, and can apply for the job. DEI is not unqualified people taking a job, which is we've already know y'all translate that it's black. Black people who taking good people's jobs. No, that's not what DEI or affirmative action is. One, two. I say this once, I say this again, I say this 3,000 times. The cohort of people that benefited the most from affirmative action were white women. DEI and affirmative action just makes people look at a candidate pool past a straight white male. That is the poster child for anything in this country. People think down on every other kind of person except straight white men. Everybody else got to prove themselves in this country and go through hoops and everything else except for straight white men. Okay? Get off this slant and tangent. And I didn't mean to hurt and offend anybody by saying what I'm saying. I'm just getting a lot of tired of the you I'm not black, but I'm gonna tell you how to live in this world or whatever, because that in itself to me is a little bit of prejudice. Just a slight bit of racism. Just a little bit. I don't care what you are anyway. I really want y'all to get out of telling people how their experience is supposed to be anyway. Y'all get in comment sections and everything and tell people how you feel like they should have experienced a certain event or situation that's not your experience. Why are you even speaking? Okay. All right. Updates this week. I still have business ads available. If you like to purchase a business ad, my sub is up for Apple. I post sub content. I'm posting sub content today because yeah, I hadn't posted sub. I'm probably gonna be back for an exclusive. Break down a couple of things once a few people I know, love, and trust listen to the podcast and give me some feedback and all the things. Hopefully they do it today. Um Other than that, I think we good. I think we good. I want to thank y'all for sticking it out with me. It's been 2 hours and 30 minutes. Good grief. I knew this was going to be a long one because it was education. And listen, like, I love education. I love my job, but I do not like talking about it. I see fully coming out of this podcast. I see why I didn't want to talk about it. I, but y'all know me. One thing I'm gonna do is keep it a book. I'm gonna keep it real. I just wish I could keep it brief. All right. Y'all make sure y'all stay in peace and stay whole and not in pieces. This has been all of my time. I love y'all. Thank y'all for making it to this far. And I will see y'all later this week for an exclusive. Bye.